In the dark shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read the ancient tomes. The order of the Abracast. We are the brave and the bold.
We barely remember who or what came before this precious moment. We are choosing to be here right now. Hold on. Stay inside this holy reality, this holy experience. Choosing to be here in this body holding me. Be my reminder here that I am not alone in this body holding me. Feeling eternal, all this pain is an illusion. Alive, I, in this holy reality, in this holy experience, choosing to be here in this body holding me. Be my reminder here that I am not alone in this body holding me. Feeling is eternal, and all this pain is an illusion. Twirling around in this familiar parable, spinning, weaving around each new experience. Recognize this as a holy gift and celebrate this chance to be alive and breathing. This chance to be alive and breathing. This body holding me reminds me of my own mortality. Embrace this moment and remember that we are eternal. And all this pain is an illusion. That was, of course, Parabola from Tool. But, Yoda also says it. To quote Yoda, Empire Strikes Back, my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, and not this crude matter.
The Abracast, occult, history, conspiracy, and violence.
Hey everybody, welcome. Here we are recording from the steel buckle of the Rust Belt, still counting, still manufacturing, still filling in the little circles. This is the Abracast, and I'm John Towers. Hey, so we're going to be talking about we started this a couple weeks ago, the origin of the world, or it's also called the Untitled Text. It's found in the Nag Hammadi Library. And I just thought the cold open was important, because it's kind of like, it's sort of this kind of an encapsulation of where we left off, right? About this divine spark being trapped in this the crude flawed, corrupt material universe. It seems so apropos. So I wanted to finish this up tonight. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I have an obligation to ask you to check out Advertise.com. There's a featured topic link, so you can see all the work we've done in this or any of the many topics that we do here. Ask you to subscribe there at Advertise.com or in the link in the show notes. There's a monthly newsletter that goes out where I'm working on revamping it, and I mean, it's really come a long way. It really has. It really has. But it's just once a month, and it's I don't know. I like it. It's interesting. It's fun. So check in there. Also, I don't want to. I'll just say this. Thank you to my Patreon and Subscribe Star supporters. I appreciate you guys. And with that said, there is going to be a lot of changes to the Patreon and Subscribe Star stuff coming along. If you're a supporter of the show on Patreon or Subscribe Star, check out your Patreon or Subscribe Star stuff. There's a message there explaining everything that's going to be happening in broad strokes. So there is that. Also, while you're at Abercast.com, if you go to the storefront, you can check out, we have the tarot cards are available. With that, I should just mention that because of the COVID-19 business, their fulfillment is really slow. But even if you're not going to buy the cards, the artwork and everything is available there. And then if you sign into the mailing list, you have access to this Google Doc where I explain all the imagery in the cards, and it's still a work in progress, but it's it's over 100 fucking pages long already. It's going to wind up being my doctoral thesis if I go for another doctorate's degree. But also on the storefront, there's a link to my comic books and graphic novels. So that there's that. Get your reading for the apocalypse, the upcoming apocalypse. And also the t-shirt thing. So this started, a couple months ago, where it was my general policy just to wear black t-shirts. Because I'm not like, you want me to wear a Nike fucking t-shirt? Like, I don't pay me to. So I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some cool shirts just to wear. And then I make them available on the TeePublic store. But you could also get like stickers and stuff. Anyhow, there's like a handful of really cool shirts there. And the shirt that would correspond with this evening's episode would be the shirt of the demiurge himself, Yaldabaoth, the lion-headed serpent. But the shirt is kind of like an as above, so below kind of thing. So if you're familiar with the Levis Levi's Baphomet, you can kind of see you can kind of see the same sort of motifs going on with my Yaldabaoth shirt. Anyhow, it's a cool shirt. It's a cool shirt. Check it out. And I guess I'm well under my time. So the last thing that I'll say is, like, every year, like towards the beginning of the new year, I tweak. The only thing that's consistent about podcasting is that you should just keep trying stuff. So generally I try stuff for about a year, and then I wind up changing stuff or trying new things at the beginning of the year. Usually I've been behind the curve and like changing stuff in like March or April in some cases, like moving day. But this year I'm ahead of it. So we're doing all these changes. They're going to start taking place in January. So I'm not changing servers or anything. You don't have to look out for me on like any kind of new RSS feed or anything like that. But the show's going to be it's going to be making some changes, and there's a lot of reasons for it. geez, I don't know if I should say this. I have some personal life stuff that is going to be changing very soon, and I have yeah, that's all that I'll just say. We'll just leave it at that. However, things are going away, but new things are coming up, and I just want you to be prepared for it when it happens. So that's all I'm going to say right now. Probably the majority or a giant part of next month's mailing list is going to be going through and kind of talking about the different changes and stuff. However, if you're just a casual listener, or you're not that big of a fan of the show, you just need, I don't know, whatever, to listen to some drunk guy babble about Yabble Boeth for 45 minutes to an hour while you're walking on your treadmill or whatever, you might not even get the changes. So it's cool. But I'm here, and I'm trying to give out fair warnings. So there you go. All right, so let's get into this. The origin of the world, or it's also called the Untitled Text from the Nag Hammadi Library. This is one of the big Gnostic, kind of Gnostic treatises. And you'll recall from the last episode that this is part 2. If you recall from part 1, this is weird. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, and it doesn't stop. The weird train just keeps going. There's people, I don't know how to quantify it. Jerking off into the dirt and stuff. There's some crazy stuff going on. So I hope that, yeah. In the last episode, there was hermaphrodites and everything going on. So I hope that you buckle up your seatbelt and you're ready to go, because I like to say, or I used to like to say, that this Gnosticism stuff gets my dick hard, but not when we're talking about the Untitled. Not when we're talking about the Untitled Text, because there's a lot of weird sex stuff going on in the Untitled Text. So I try to keep my dick away from the Untitled Text. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. Now these, through the will, the souls that were going to enter the modeled forms of the authorities were manifested to Sabaoth and his Christ. And regarded these, the holy voice multiply and improve, and be Lord over all the creatures. And it is they who are taken captive according to their destinies. It is your destiny by the prime parent. And thus they were shut into prisons of the modeled forms until the consummation of the age. This body holding me. All this pain is an illusion. We are eternal. All this pain is an illusion. And or luminous beings are we, not made of this crude matter. And at that time, the prime parent then rendered an opinion concerning man to those who were with him. Then each of them cast his sperm into the into the midst of the navel of the earth. So he's talking about, this is so weird. So all the men that were with Sabaoth, so just think there was 50 guys, and they're casting their sperm into the midst of the navel of the earth. It's like a whole cocky, I don't know, a dirt, I don't know, a canyon cocky. Since that day, the 7 rulers, these are the archon, when David Icke and all this talks about the archons, the 7 rulers of the material earth, fashioned man with his body resembling their body, but his likeness resembling the man that had appeared to them. Remember, there was this misinterpretation through the reflection of the water here in part 1 at the beginning of the story. His modeling took place by parts one at a time, and their leader fashioned the brain and the nervous system afterwards, and he appeared as prior to him. He became a soul-endowed man, and he was called Adam, that is, quote, father, unquote, according to the name of the one that existed before him. And when they had finished Adam, he abandoned him as an inanimate vessel, since he had taken form like an abortion, in that no spirit was in him regarding this thing. When the chief ruler remembered the sayings of Pistis, he was afraid lest the true man entered his modeled form and became its lord. For this reason, he left his modeled form for 40 days without a soul, and he withdrew and abandoned it. Now, on the 40th day, Sophia Zoe sent her breath into Adam, who had no soul, and he began to move upon the ground, and he could not stand up. Then, when the 7 rulers came, they saw him and were greatly disturbed. Imagine it. You just have this, like, inflated balloon man crawling around on the ground. He can't stand up. He's full of Fistus's, spiritual power. They went up to him and they seized him. And he, the chief ruler, said to the breath within him, "Who are you, and whence did you come hither?" And it answered, and it said, "I have come from the force of the man for destruction of your work." And when they heard, they glorified him, since he gave them respite from the fear and the anxiety in which they found themselves. Then they called that day rest. This is the Sunday story. This is hilarious. And as much as they had rested from toil, and when they saw that Adam could stand up, they were glad, and they took him and put him into paradise, and they withdrew up to their heavens. And after the day of rest, Sophia sent her daughter Zoe, being called Eve, as an instructor. So this is something that we see over and over again in these Gnostic mythologies, is that the female is the brains of the operation, which is true, man. It's like, hey, if you look at the dynamic between my wife and I mean, this is going to sound really bad. Like, I make the decisions, and I'm I'm in charge of a lot of stuff, but it's because she tells me what to do. It's hilarious. It's the trying to describe the dynamic between a true husband and wife literally is funny. In a lot of, feminists are like, females are never like they shouldn't, the patriarchy, but those people have not ever been in real relationships. Like, and I'm not talking about, like, wife beaters or, like, abusive relationships. I'm talking about healthy. Jesus. I'm using myself as an example of a healthy relationship. That's funny. But this is a great example of how this mythology informs us of, like, our culture or our sociology, or how men and women relate to each other, right? Because I'm like, look, this is the way it's going to go. But it's only because she give me permission and draws the boundaries. I mean, I don't know. I'm not explaining it very well. I've had a couple of the Jin Jihads already this evening, but like literally, she's remodeling my bathroom right now. She decided to rip a bunch of shit out of the bathroom a few days ago. It took her a couple tries. This is like version 2. She ripped it all out again. She's going back at it, but she's just like, this isn't your project. Just leave me the fuck alone. I'm going to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go make dinner. I'm not trying to make myself sound like a cuck or whatever, but these dynamics are weird, and this Gnosticism and these Gnostic mythologies often draw Eve as the wisdom element, or a refraction of the wisdom element. Like in my book, in my graphic novel, The Ages, she's... Oh, well, hey, in the Bible, too, like, the serpent is the one coming down being like, you need to have the knowledge of good and evil, so you should eat the fruit off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And Eve's like the one that's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. But then it gets skewed because they make it, at least in Sunday school or whatever, make it seem like she tricked Adam into eating the apple. But if you get rid of that ethics part of it, and just look at what's happening in the story, and there's Gnostic texts that are like, they do the thing like where it's like, well, besides eating the apple, like maybe the snake actually fucked Eve, and Cain was that, and we've gotten into that. If you get into those Mason episodes, in the fellow craft episodes, or in the feature topic links, the Masonic episodes, you'll find this. The brothers of the ice and the fire, or the water and the fire, in the kingly and the priestly pillars and stuff. Like, we've talked about this kind of stuff. I mean, I don't want to say ad nauseum because we haven't talked about it in a while, but maybe it's time to revisit some of that stuff. Anyhow, where are we at? Eve was an instructor in order that she might make Adam, who had no soul, arise so that those whom she or he could engender might become containers of light, the spark of the divinity, the luminous beings in our crude matter. When Eve saw her male counterpart prostrate, she had pity upon him, and she said, Adam, become alive and arise upon the earth. And immediately her word became accomplished by fact. Eve, at this point in time, apparently is a Mary Sue. She just shows up. She knows exactly what to do. She's got no trials or tribulations. For Adam, having arisen, suddenly opened his eyes, and when he saw her, he said, You shall be called Mother of the Living, for it is you who have given me life. When the authorities were informed that the modeled form was alive and had arisen, remember when they were watching him, he was having a hard time standing up. They were greatly troubled. They sent 7 archangels to see what had happened. And they came to Adam, and they saw Eve walking to him. And they said to one another, What sort of thing is this luminous woman? For she resembles that likeness which appeared to us in the light. Now come, baby, baby, come. Let us lay hold of her and cast her seed into her. That might be a typo. So that when she becomes soiled, she may not be able to ascend into her light. Rather, those whom she bears will be under our charge, and let us not tell Adam. So this seems dodgy. It seems like we're getting into a gang rape territory. For he is not one of us. Rather, let us bring a deep sleep over him, and let us instruct him to sleep, to the effect that she came from his rib, in order that his wife may obey. He may be lord over her. And then Eve, being a force, laughed at their decision. But she put mist into her eyes and secretly left her likeness with Adam. Okay, so hold on. I'm thinking of... So Eve is like the Great Muda. So my references to all kinds of stories and to life in the universe often happen in the form of pro wrestling. So I just see the Great Muda, like Eve painted up like as the Great Muda, and these guys coming down to gang rape her, and she's just like, she fucking green mists their fucking eyes, and she jets. But as she jets, she paints Adam's face like the Great Muda. She puts her Great Muda face paint on Adam. Back to it. She entered the tree of knowledge, and she remained there. And they pursued her, and she revealed to them that she had gone into the tree and become a tree. Then entering a great state of fear, the blind creatures fled. Afterwards, when they had recovered from the daze from the Great Muda's green mist, they came to Adam, and seeing the Great Muda's face paint on him, were greatly disturbed, thinking it was she that was the true Eve. And they acted rashly, and they came up to her and seized her and cast their seed upon her. They did so wickedly, defiling not only in her natural ways, but also in foul ways. That's butt sex they're talking about. Butt stuff? I think they're talking about butt stuff here. Dwelling first the seal of her voice that had spoken with them, saying, What is it that exists before you, intending to defile those who might say the consummation of the age? And they had been born of the true man through verbal expression, and they erred, not knowing that it was their own body that they had defiled. It was the likeness that the authorities and their angels defiled in every way. So this bit here, I just want to ask everybody, if you're interested in this stuff, or in like sex magic, a lot of Gnosticism, go to the feature topic link, and there's 1 or 2 or 3 episodes that we talk about Simon Magus. In the Simon Magus stories, there is this thing that pops up over and over again about the Ensof for like the original thought, and that's what this Gnosticism myth is talking about in this thing right here. Before the utterance of the word is this original thought, and it has to deal with sex, and it's tied in to this Helena Troy figure that Simon Magus was carrying around. She's like this prostitute that he was just like, hey, I fucking love this prostitute. And that's like mirrored in some of the Jesus traditions, especially that has to do with Gnosticism. So I'm not prepared to sit here and do a whole essay on it, but it's worth looking into, and I think I might actually go back and listen to those episodes in the light of this, just to check it out. Anyhow, let's do this real quick.
Learn more at abracast.com. Get bonus content by signing up for the mailing list. Get all that plus many exclusive episodes by supporting the show at patreon.com or subscribestar.com.
She was first pregnant with Abel by the first ruler, and it was by the seven authorities and their angels that she born the other offspring. And all this came to pass according to the forethought of the prime parent. So that this was the first mother might bear within her every seed. This is the corruption of mankind being mixed and being fitted to the faith or the fate of the universe and its configurations, and to justice. A prearranged plan came into effect regarding Eve, so that the modeled forms of the authorities might become enclosures of the light, whereupon it would condemn them through their modeled forms. This body holding me. Now, the first Adam of light, is spirit endowed and appeared on the first day. The second Adam, the soul endowed, and appeared on the sixth day, which is called Aphrodite. The third Adam is a creature of the earth. That is the man of the law, and he appeared on the eighth day, the tranquility of poverty, which is called the day of the sun, Sunday. And the progeny of the earthly Adam became numerous and was completed and produced within itself every kind of scientific information, and the soul endowed Adam. But all were in ignorance. Next, let me say that once the rulers had seen him and the female creature who was with him erring ignorantly like beasts, they were very glad. They learned that the immortal man was not going to neglect them. Rather, they would have to fear the female creature that had turned into a tree and were disturbed. And they said, perhaps this is the true man, this being who has brought a fog upon us like a green mist and taught us that she who soiled is like him, and so shall be conquered. Then the seven of them, the archons, together laid plans, and they came up to Adam and Eve timidly, and they were like, hey, we were thinking that the fruit of all trees created for you in paradise shall be eaten. But for the tree of knowledge, control yourselves and do not eat from it. If you eat, you will die. The archons are now millennials with vocal fry. That's just the way it is. Having imparted great fear to them, they withdrew up to their authorities. Then came the wisest of all creatures, who was called the beast. And when he saw the likeness of their mother Eve, he said to her, what did God say to you? Was it, do not eat from the tree of knowledge? And she said, he said, not only do not eat from it, but do not touch it, lest you die. And he said to her, do not be afraid. In death you shall not die. For he knows that when you eat from it, your intellect will become sober, and you will become like the gods and recognize the difference that obtains between evil men and good ones. Indeed, it was in jealousy that he said this to you, so that you would not eat from it. Now Eve had confidence of the words of the instructor. And she gazed at the tree and saw that it was beautiful and appetizing, and she liked it. And she took some of the fruit and ate it, and gave some of it also to her husband, and he too ate it. And their intellect became open. They're gaining gnosis. This Gnosticism is the opening of their mind, the revelation of their truth. And when you read about it in some of these texts, like people that are trying to explain going through it do this thing where they're like, oh, whoa, whoa, hey, not like Borat. They're having a psychological crisis understanding the truth of the universe. And I think this is what's going to happen to these guys. Ooh, hey, very nice. For when they had eaten, the light of knowledge had shone upon them. When they clothed themselves in shame, and they knew that they were naked of knowledge, and they became sober. They saw that when they were naked and became enamored of one another. Ooh. When they saw that the ones who had modeled them had the form of beasts, and they loathed them, and they were very aware. And when the rulers knew that they had broken their commandments, they entered paradise and came to Adam and Eve with earthquake and great threatening to see the effect of the aid. Then Adam and Eve trembled greatly and hidden under the trees of paradise. Then the ruler said, Then the rulers did not know where they were. And they said, Adam, where are you? And he said, I am here. And through the fear of you I hid, being ashamed. And they said to him ignorantly, who told you about shame, and with which you clothed yourself? Unless you have eaten from that goddamn tree. And he said, the woman whom you gave me, it is she who gave it to me, and I ate. And they said to the latter, what is this that you have done? And she answered and said, this is great, it is the instructor who urged me on, and I ate. And then the rulers came up to the instructor, and their eyes became misty. The great Muda, the green mist. They could not do anything to him, and they cursed him, since they were powerless. Afterwards, they came up to the woman, and they cursed her and her offspring. After the woman, they cursed Adam and the land because of him, and the crops. And all things they had created, they cursed. They have no blessing. Good cannot result from evil. And from that day, the authorities knew that truly there was something mightier than they. They recognized only that their commandments had not been kept. Great jealousy was brought into the world solely because of the immortal man. Now, when the rulers saw that their Adam had entered into an alien state of knowledge, they desired to test him, and they gathered together all the domestic animals and the wild beasts of the earth and the birds of heaven, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And when he saw them, he gave names to these creatures. They became troubled because Adam had recovered from all the trials they assembled, and they laid plans, and they said, behold, Adam, he has become like one of us. so that we know the difference between the lightness and the darkness, and now perhaps you will be deceived, as the case of the tree of knowledge, and also will become the tree of life and eat from it, and he will become immortal, and he will become a lord and despise us and disdain us in all our glory, and then he will denounce us along with our universe. This is so important. Through experience and knowledge. Man, that's powerful. You will become the lord of yourself, and you will despise the forces over you, and you will disdain them in all of their glory because of personal experience and knowledge. Back to the book. And then he will denounce us along with our universe. Come and let us expel him from paradise down to the land from which he was taken, so that henceforth he might be able to recognize anything better than we can. And so they expelled Adam from paradise along with his wife, and this deed that they had done was not enough for them. Rather, they were afraid. They went to the tree of life, and they surrounded it with great fearful things, fiery living creatures called cherubim, and they put a flaming sword in their midst, fearfully twirling it at all times, so no earthly being might ever enter that place. Thereupon, since the rulers were envious of Adam and wanted to diminish their lifespans, they could not. However, because of fate, which had been fixed since the beginning, for to each had been allotted a lifespan of 1,000 years, according to the course of the luminous bodies. But although the rulers could not do this, each of the evildoers took away 10 years, and the lifespan amounted to 930 years, and these were in pain and weakness and evil distractions. Heyo, here's the evil distraction. And so life turned out to be from that day until the consummation of the age. Thus, when Sophia Zoe saw the rulers of the darkness had laid a curse upon her counterparts, she was indignant. And coming out of the first heaven with the full power, she chased those rulers out of their heaven and cast them down upon the sinful world, so that they should dwell in the form of evil spirits or demons upon the earth, so that in their world it might pass 1,000 years in paradise. A soul-endowed living creature called a phoenix. It kills itself and brings itself to life as a witness to the judgment against them, for they did wrong to Adam and his generation unto the consummation of the age. There are 3 men. Sorry, I gotta reorganize my shit. Unto the consummation of the world, and the spirit endowed of eternity, and the soul endowed of earthly, likewise the 3 phoenixes in paradise. The first is immortal, and the second lives 1,000 years, and for the third it is written in the sacred book that it is consumed. So too, that there are 3 baptisms. The first is a spiritual, and the second is by fire, and the third is by water. Just as the phoenix appears and is written concerning the angels, so the case of the water hydri in Egypt, which has been witness to those going down into the baptism of a true man. The two bulls of Egypt possesses a mystery, the sun and the moon being a witness to Sabaoth, namely that over Sophia received the universe from the day that she made the sun and the moon, and she put a seal upon her heaven unto eternity. And the worm that has been born out of the phoenix is a human being as well. And it is written concerning it, the just man will blossom like a phoenix, and the phoenix first appears in a living state and dies and rises again, being a sign of what has become apparent at the consummation of the age. It was only in Egypt that these great signs appeared, and nowhere else. As an interdiction that is like God's paradise. Let us return to the aforementioned rulers so that we may offer some explanation of them. Now, when the 7 rulers were cast down from their heavens into the earth and made for themselves angels numerous, demonic, to serve them, and later instructed mankind in many kinds of error and magic, that the potions and worship of idols and the spilling of blood and altars and temples and sacrifices and libations to all of the spirits of the earth, having their co-worker fate, who came into existence by the concord between the gods of injustice and justice. And thus, when the world had come into being, it distractedly erred at all times, for all men upon earth worship the spirits or demons from the creation of the consummation, both of the angels of the righteous and the men of the unrighteous. Thus did the world come to exist, in distraction, in ignorance, and in a stupor. They all erred until the appearance of the true man. And let us suffice so far as the matter goes. Now we shall proceed to consideration of our world, so that we may accurately finish the description of its structure and the management, and it will become obvious how belief in the unseen realm, which has been apparent from its creation down to the consummation of the age, was discovered. I come. I'm sorry, here we go. I come, therefore, to the main points regarding the immortal man. I shall speak of all beings that belong to him, explaining how they happened to be here. When a multitude of human beings had come into existence through the parentage of Adam, who had been fashioned and out of matter, and when the world had already become full, the rulers were master over it. That is, they kept it restrained by ignorance. For what reason? For the following: since the immortal Father knows that the deficiency of truth came into being amongst the eternal realms in their universe, when he wished to bring it to naught the rulers of perdition through the creatures they had modeled, he sent to your likeness down into the world of perdition, namely the blessed little innocent spirits. They are not alien to knowledge, for all knowledge is vested in one angel who appeared before him. He is not without power in the company of the Father, and he gave them knowledge. Whenever they appear in this world of perdition, immediately, the first of all, they reveal the pattern of imperishability as a condemnation of the rulers of their force. Thus, when the blessed beings appeared in forms modeled by authorities, they were envied. And out of envy, the authorities mixed their seed with them in hopes of polluting them. It's depressing. They could not then, with this blessing being appeared in luminous forms, they appeared in various ways. And each one of them, starting out in his land, revealed his kind of knowledge to the visible church constituted in the modeled forms of perdition. The church was found to contain all kinds of seed. Because of the seed, the authorities had mixed with it. The church is corrupt. The material bodies of humans are corrupt. The world is corrupt. The church is corrupt. It's not corrupt by this eating of an apple or drinking of a wine or fucking. That's not what's corrupted it. What's corrupted it is this God, should I say the arrogance and the stupidity of the Creator. Then the Savior, back to the book, and then the Savior of them all and the spirits of their manifested superior, being blessed and varying in election, and also he created many other beings which have no king and are no superior to anyone that was ever before them. Consequently, 4 races exist. There are 3 that belong to the kings of the 8th heaven, but the 4th race is kingless and perfect, being the highest of them all. For these shall enter the holy place of their Father, and they will gain rest in response to the eternal, unspeakable glory and unending joy. Moreover, they are kings within the mortal domain, in that they are immortal. They will condemn the gods of chaos and their forces. I'm sorry, I need to make this note here. Now the world that is superior to all beings that was sent for this purpose alone, that he might proclaim the unknown. He said, there is nothing hidden that is not apparent. And what he has not been recognized will be recognized. And these were sent to make known what is hidden in the 7 authorities of chaos and their impropriety. And thus they were condemned to death. So when all the perfect appeared in the forms modeled by the rulers, and they were revealed the incomparable truth, they were put to shame. All the wisdom of the gods and their fate was found to be a condemnation of their forces dried up. Their lordship was dissolved. Their forethought became emptiness along with their glory. Before the consumption of the age, the whole place will shake with a great thundering. Then the rulers will be sad until their deaths. The angels will mourn for their mankind, and the demons will weep over their seasons, and their mankind will wail and scream at their death, and then their age will begin. And they will be disturbed. Their kings will be intoxicated with the fiery sword, and they will wage war against one another, so that the earth is intoxicated with bloodshed. And the seas will be disturbed by those wars. And the sun will become dark, and the moon will cause its light to cease, and the stars of the sky will cancel their circuits. And a great clap of thunder will come out of a great force that is above all the forces of chaos, where the firmament of the woman is situated. Having created the first product, she will put away the wise fire of intelligence and clothe herself with witless wrath. Then she will pursue the gods of chaos, whom she created along with the prime parent, and she will cast them down into the abyss and will be obliterated because of their wickedness. For they will come to be like volcanoes and consume one another until they perish at the hand of the prime parent. When he has destroyed them, he will turn against himself and destroy himself until he ceases to exist. And their heavens will fall upon the next, and their forces will be consumed by fire. Their eternal realms, too, will be overturned, and his heaven will fall and break in two. His will fall down upon the and support them. He will fall into the abyss, and the abyss will be overturned. The light will, and the darkness, and obliterate it. It will be like something that has never been seen. The product to which the darkness had been posterior will dissolve, and the deficiency will be plucked out by the root and thrown down into the darkness, and the light will withdraw up to the root, and the glory of the unbegotten will appear, and it will fill all the eternal realm. And when the prophecy and the account of those who are kings become known, and is fulfilled by those who are called perfect, those who in contrast will not become perfect in the unbegotten Father will receive their glory and their realms in the kingdoms of the immortals. But they will never enter the kingless realms, for everyone must go to the place for which he has come. You can never come home again, it is said. But not in the Nag Hammadi text, they say. For everyone must go to the place for which he has come. Indeed, by his acts and by his knowledge, each person will make his own nature own. John Towers, this is the Abercast. I hope everyone's being safe and staying sane. Hit up the I forgot to mention the Discord server. Hey, I got a Discord server. Check out the website. Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Send an email or visit us on social media to let us know what you think about this topic. And please remember to leave a 5-star rate and review.
Hey, did you learn something? Did you laugh? Supporting me is a way for you to be a part of the Abercast and ensure its growth and sustainability. It also means I can create a normal schedule for shows and bonus shows, as well as the exclusive Fellowcraft episodes. By supporting the show, you are not only a listener, but you are a part of the show. You supporting the show gives me a way to offer fun rewards as a thank you for showing your appreciation and support for our projects. Do you have an idea for a reward that you don't see? Let me know. My supporters are my partners. I currently pay for you to listen to the Abercast. Not only do I pay the hosting bills out of my own pocket, I volunteer my time and talent to each and every episode of the Abercast. The price of books, the time and resources of reading and researching, the massive amounts of gin and tonic needed, the equipment it takes to record the shows, the time and resources it takes to create the bonus material, and the cost to maintain the internet presence. Is it worth your support? I don't know. I am proud of the Abercast, and I feel like I'm improving all the time. In addition to creating the show that you dig and that you are excited about, I also have a full-time commitment and other obligations. So why financial support? All of the supporters help me focus my time on the quality and development of the podcast. And what if you can't afford, $1 or $3 or $10 or whatever a month? Believe me, I get that. There are many degrees of support, but if you can't support the show financially, please consider leaving a 5-star rate and review on your preferred podcast app. And don't forget that you could sign into the mailing list and still unlock a lot of bonus content. Thank you. I cannot put into words how much it means to me that you listen to the show each time I post a new episode. Your feedback, support, and love of the stories that we talk about here is what keeps me going.